and pipes and filters. And this is about how to redirect output and how to take the output you get from one command and pass it on to another command. And you can also combine multiple commands. We'll also look at sort and filter output and what are environment variables. So let's get going. And first I will talk about echo. Because echo is a Linux command that lets you display lines of text or strings that you're passing as arguments. If you just look at it on the surface, it may be not looking so useful, but it can be used to send text to files, for instance. And you're often using it in shell scripts and batch files in order to send maybe status text to the screen or file, or to see content, or in any way send some text to a file in the command line. And the syntax is echo, any number of options, and then the string you want displayed. You can always use man echo or man echo.string to see some more information. If you have a terminal open, you could try and simply write echo and then some string of text with quotation marks around. For instance, I'm learning Linux. Then it just throws that line back at you. And you will see that used at later times where it will be useful. For instance, very soon here when we are going to talk about redirection. So the redirection we are talking about here first is I/O redirection. And usually this standard input will come from keyboards and the standard output will go to the screen. Aside from the standard input and standard output, you also have standard arrows, and those can all be redirected. If you want to take the output of a command, for instance ls, and send it to a file, you do it with this greater than or arrow right. So let's see what files we have here. Don't have one that's called test.dat, so that we can create one. So let's just do ls and then send it to test.dat. Then you can see now we have such a file, and I'm going to use cat to see the content. And the content is the same as it was in ls, except that it takes everything on one line here. Because how wide it is depends on your width of the screen, so that is not relevant for this. If you do a double greater than, double right arrows, it concatenates the output to the content of a file. So if you have this file here, test.dat, and you want to send some more things to it, you just say, for instance, the command ls, the output from that, let's put that to test.dat. And let's see what's in it. It now has the content twice, because I sent it the output twice to it. Less than, left arrow, will change the standard input or send input to something. And to take the standard error, you take the redirection and add a 2, because standard in, standard out, and standard error have a number. It's difficult to explain without going further into files, but it simply is that they are named 0, 1, and 2 So if you pick 2, then it's the standard error we're talking about. And if you have a program that gives both output and error or just errors, and you want all the errors thrown to one file and not mixed up among the output, then you say, I run this program, and then the errors will be sent to some file that I here call error.log, but you can name it as you want to. If you want to be sure that output and error goes to the same, then you take your program, you redirect the output to a log file, and you say that standard error 2 should be sent to the same as standard out, which is 1. So I just have some more examples, and I suggest you code along. And there are some files in here, and this is just files I could create now. So let's create field.text. Then I have such a file. I could send something to it with echo. So I say echo, and then I take some text, send some text to the file, and that I do with a redirect of output. I will concatenate to this file what I'm sending now to what was already there. So I'm sending it to field.text. Let's look at field text. It has this line. Let's send another line. I'm writing something more. And now it has 2 lines. It has the first line I sent, and it has the second. Let's look into the file. Other file here is that. Just has a line of text. Okay, I am going to take the content of this file here, my other file, and I am going to append it to field.text. And then that line is also. So you can see it's easy to throw around with this. Aside from echo, you can also use printf. It is not the same command, but it does the same in this situation. It's just another way of appending text to a file. If you want to add longer blocks of text, then you can do so. And you can do that by simply open a file for writing. And you do that by cat. And then you say redirect output. And then you create a file. We can call it food.txt. Like this. It's now open to receive input. Something. It will continue to receive input. Right. Until I get to, I see now I feel I have written what I want to write. Then I press down Control and push D. Doing so closes the file, and you can see it is now here. And let's see what's in it. It has the lines I just put there. So let's continue. We have the commands head and tail. Head will print the first lines of a file. Head minus the number of lines you want to see and the name of the file. Tail does the exact same with the end of the file. So I will try and go into the directory patterns. It's one up from my test dir inside exercises. Inside this, I have created a number of files that are useful for the exercises here. So let's try and do head -3 and on, for instance, my file 3. And it shows the first 3 lines of this file. So 3. You can see it's longer than that. So I asked to see the 3 first lines and I got that. I could also say I want to see maybe the 4 last lines. And then I get that. I want to repeat that if you push arrow up, you go through the commands you have given, and arrow down, go through them back again. And you can try this if you want to. My file 3.txt in exercises patterns is useful for this because it has at least something like 7 lines of text, so you can play with that. Then we come to WC and sort. WC is word count and sort is sort. WC counts number of lines, words, and characters in files. And it will return the values in that order from left to right. So -L, number of files per lines per file, -M, number of characters per file, and -W is number of words per file. And I would suggest coding along. And again, it's in this directory here that we got from the tarball. So let's try and count the lines in my file 1 text. And it tells me there are 4 lines, 15 words, and 80 characters. 1. And you can see there are indeed 4 lines, 15 words, looks about right, and 80 characters. If you want to see what's in all the files that end in text, you could say WC, word count, and then star for this regular expression, or wildcard star that takes anything dot text. So here you get a list of the files in this directory. You are told how many lines are in each of them, how many words, and how many characters. And see, all lines and words in text, and it also sums it up at the bottom, as you can see. So what if I only wanted to know the number of lines? Well, I can just look at the first line here, the first column, or I can just say WC -L and then numbers text, and I'm told that there are 12 lines here. If you don't give any input to WC, it assumes it should wait and nothing really happens. You can escape it with Control-C. Press the Control key down, hold it, and then press the C. So WC while capturing output. But if you have a large number of files you want to run WC on, then maybe it scrolls past, it fills more than one screen full. Then you could also just redirect this to a file. It's not very long in this case. but it would work in any case. So you just say word count minus L, and then you took, for instance, all the text files, and then you redirect it to file length text. You now get file length text. It's here. You can cut it, and it has the same content as it should. Let's move on to sort. The sort command is used in Linux to print output of a file in given order. It has some useful options. It has -n, compare according to string numerical value, -f, ignore the case, -b, ignore leading blanks. In this case, let's take the file numbers.txt in the same directory to work on, because it has some numbers and is useful for this. So let's try and say sort numbers text, and then it sorts it, and it sorts it alphanumerically, as you can see here. But maybe you want to do a string numerical value. It's more common sorting. So let's say -n instead. And then it sorts it in the way that you probably preferred it in this case. And you can also sort the file length.txt file that we created a little while ago. And then you get that sorted from which files has the most lines, as you can see. And there are also ways to combine these things, and we will see that now, because we're going to look at pipes. Pipes is also a kind of redirection, and you use it when you want to take output of one command and use it as input for another command. You will often see that it's called to pass output to another command. In many cases, it's possible to do the same with an intermediate file, like we did here with sort of the file length file. But it's often easier or better to just combine commands with one or more pipes. The pipe is symbolized by this line here between the commands, a vertical line. So let's look in the directory exercise patterns that we got from the tarball. And in that example, earlier up here, we counted the lines in all the files with extensions text through the output to a file, and then sorted it. We could instead do that directly without creating a file in between with the sort and word count. So we will do word count -n, as we did when we created the file length file, star.txt. We are now counting the lines of all text files. The output to this we previously sent to the screen. After that, we sent it to the file length.txt. We are now passing it to the command sort -n. And doing so, we are getting the exact same thing. The reason there is a difference between the total here is because we are now also including the file length.txt, which we did not have before. But otherwise, we are getting the exact same thing as we did before. We can also use tail on the output to see the end of the output if we want that instead. So let's do that. Tail -3. And we could also do several things, put more than one pipe. So first we take this counting of lines in text files. We pass the output to sort. We will then pass it on, the new output again, to head and take the 3 top lines of that. And as you can see, this is indeed the 3 first lines of this up. I will continue on to talk briefly about exporting variables, because that will be useful in scripting, and you can also use it for other things. I will not talk long. They are used to store data used by the operating system and other programs, some intrinsic to the operating system, some for specific programs, libraries, programming languages, and you can create them yourself as well. They are used in scripts, they are used on the command line. You usually refer to them by putting a symbol in front of them or around them, and they should be uppercase. It is convention. One you may have seen is $home. It contains the path to your home directory. $pwd points to your current directory. Does the same as the command pwd. $ld_library_path. It's a colon separated list of directories. The dynamic linker searches for shared object before it searches elsewhere. That is used a lot if you're compiling stuff. Then there are other examples. Number of OpenMP threads would be set like this. Or maybe you're using Python and you're setting the path to the directory with Python libraries and packages. If you want to see the content of a variable, an environment variable, you say echo and then a $sign and the environment variable. Let's try quickly do that with $home. And then it outputs the path to my home directory. Here. If you type env, you get all the environmental variables that are set. Here. Lots of them. You can set environment variables with export, and then the name of the variable equals the value. This is how it's done in Bash. It's done differently in C Shell. And you can see that here. But since we're talking about Bash, I'm just continuing. There are some examples here. I'm not going to cover those. We are a bit behind time. But yeah, export the name of the variable equals the value. You can do it like this. You can read this yourself and ask questions if you have any about this. But I am not going to go to the key point either. I'm just going to stop here and